I've had a lot of jobs. I've had a ton of weird jobs too.
Yeah, same.
You've worked like all kinds of shit.
Well, the jobs that I've had were so strange. The first one I had was I was a grooming assistant.
When you're able-bodied.
Yeah, I mean I was 13. Duh.
Yeah.
I was a grooming assistant.
I know, but people that are brand new might not know. They might be like, they might not know.
They might not know that I've been.
To get you up to speed.
There was a time when I wasn't a disability.
Disability, mobility.
Yeah, so I worked at like a dog grooming salon. And then my second job, I worked at the same time. I had 2 jobs at 14. I was hustling early. I worked as a baseball umpire. And then I moved into working at like a car detail shop / car wash. And then I worked at like a supplement store / smoothie place. And then transitioned into doing like cable pulling. I like built networks inside of new buildings. And then I transitioned into a production artist at an art foundry. And then I was doing like a coffee shop work. I was a barista, and then I was a valet, and then I was a server, and then I worked at like an Apple store, and I'm like,
you have a large resume.
I've gone and done like a lot of things, and that's just all the stuff that like was W-2, not any of the like other side job 1099 stuff that I just did,
for fun and for extra cash.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I remember my first job was my first like real job was like working in at my church, like in the daycare area. Like you could like take care of kids, and also I like babysat before that. And then
good way to get out of going to the regular service is just working the kids.
Yeah, exactly. And then my dad owns a Dippin' Dots franchise, so I worked for my dad really young. And then I was like I worked at a camp, and then I was a lifeguard at that camp for a long time. And then when I went to college, I wasn't working, but then I dropped out to go work for a network marketing company, so that I got like a bunch of like entrepreneurial experience and stuff like that, and that just like changed my whole paradigm. That's why I dropped out of college in the first place. And then I moved in with some friends, and I worked at a Dunkin' Donuts to keep myself afloat while I was working that network marketing job, because it just straight up wasn't paying the bills. And that was a weird time in my life. I had no car, and I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. Sometimes I would walk to work. Sometimes my roommate would like let me borrow his car, but like most mornings I would walk, like it wasn't that far. It was like a mile and a half or something.
That's a humbling experience though.
Oh yeah. Especially when I was like going to these like home events, trying to like hype people up about like their future, and like, you can join this company and like get a BMW if you sell enough energy drinks.
Like, what do you drive? And you're like, I got a chauffeur.
I got some shoes on my feet, son. Dude, I remember the most humbling day was, it was pitch black because I had to open the store. It was like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was raining hard, and my roommate was gone. So I had no car. I had to. And it was 5 a.m. I was literally opening the store.
Torrential rain.
I was supposed to be the first one there to open the doors, literally. Like, who am I going to call?
I mean, Ghostbusters, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But I called them, and they didn't even answer. It was too early.
And that was pre-Lyft and Uber era, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
But when you're that broke, you don't have money to get a Lyft or an Uber.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I was like, I'm just going to power through. I'm just going to like wear my rain jacket and like fucking get to work. And I remember showing up to work with like my jeans. I went to the bathroom and like wrung them out.
Oof.
I had another pair I think I had another pair of socks that I brought in my backpack with me, so that I could at least change my socks, because that's the worst.
So you got to smell like moldy coffee all day.
Yeah. Like it was just gross. I mean, I wore a rain jacket, so at least my shirt was like pretty dry. Like I could take that off, but my jeans were soaked. And I just remember thinking like, this is one of those experiences where I'm going to look back and be like, I'm fucking glad I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Like I remember Casey Neistat always talks about like cleaning the fish,
clam chowder.
the clam chowder buckets or whatever, the giant pots.
A dishwasher, and he said it was up to his elbows in clam chowder buckets for 8 hours a day. And he's like, the best way for you to figure out what you want to do in life is get a job that you absolutely hate, and whatever you find yourself daydreaming about all day is what you're meant to do.
That's true.
And he was saying how all he wanted to do was make movies. That's all he could think about, was wanting to make movies. He was like, God, the second I get out of here, I'm just going to go home, get my camcorder and make movies. And like, that's when he realized like, I got to make movies.
Did you ever have a job like that you just despised?
Absolutely. I think cable pulling was probably the worst one, because you're working alone, like underground, like, or in rafters in these giant, massive construction projects. and you have to drive very far. Like, depending on wherever the construction project is that you're working on, you have to drive there, and you have to be there early, and you have to work all day and then drive home. Sometimes it was not uncommon to drive hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours a day, just one way to go get to your job.
And you don't have any coworkers that you pulling cable with? You're doing it all
I
yourself?
had like 1 or 2 people, but like they were like, so the people, I would pull the cable and they would like build the patch panels, right? So like
Jeez.
we didn't like communicate, and it was these big open silent buildings, and I was just fucking miserable. Like,
Yeah.
it was under the promise of like good money and like I was, going to or planning to go to ITT Tech at the time, which I did for a little while and then eventually dropped out because just college is not for me. And it was like, oh, kill me. Like, I hate like I'm so miserable right now.
Yeah.
Washing dogs was kind of like that too, but I got cash under the table, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Most of the other work I did was not too horrible because there was some social aspect to it. Like, I'm a real social person, and
Yeah. That was the one redeeming quality of working at Dunkin' Donuts was the bond that you have with your coworkers. It's almost like getting hazed or something in a fraternity. It's like you go through so much shit and like the customers are so rude and you're just like by the end of it, you're like, whoo, we fucking did that, son. We ran that morning rush, you know?
I think everyone should have some type of service job or some type of job where you're behind the counter where customers can be mean to you. Like, I think that's a character building thing for sure. Like, I think someone should be like a server or work at like a coffee shop or some type of job where you have to deal with like rude public.
Totally. The biggest thing that got me was that how entitled people were about like again Dunkin' Donuts, about just like they felt like they had a human right to like get their coffee in like a timely manner and like the correct way every time and blah blah blah. And it's like, yes, from a business standpoint, yes, you do, like that's what we're trying to provide you as a service. But it's not like the fucking government or like if we're closed, like what would happen? Would you freak out? Like, we're a business, like we're a private business.
I think
like
what happens is people plan their day around your perfect service.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I've got 15 minutes before work. I'm going to go pop in and get a coffee and I won't be late to work.
And they would even say sometimes, they're like, now I'm going to be late for work. I'm like, that's not my fault.
Yeah. I think about too, like when I go out to eat for food, I have to plan for my meals to get messed up every time because they do. I went to a place and they messed up 3 times.
Remember when we went to Shake Shack?
They messed up the fix.
Every time, like we were at the Shake Shack in the airport. Which airport was it?
Dude, I don't
Chicago.
remember.
I think it was in Chicago.
It took them 4 times to get it
right. It was
right.
messed up.
Every time they did
I
it
had
wrong.
finished my burger and was just sitting there, but by the time Richard even got his correct meal.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
And every
honestly.
time I'd go back up there, I have to spell it out, like literally spell it out. But I digress. Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want the full episode, you can click right here. If you want to subscribe, click here. If you want more clips, we got 2 more right over here.